Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Unified Proving Ground Circuit. As we have some chaotic games, and then we come over to here, and IMT wanting to make a statement here in their first game, boys. We got to get right into it because IMT was making sure everybody knew that they were competitors here.
Yeah. They were not messing around for this one. The series before, we had some dilly-dallying, we had some throws back and forth. IMT just wanted to take us home a little bit earlier tonight with a very, very fast win, very clean. I liked it a lot.
And to talk about that, I mean, we talked about how fast the win was. We got replays. And real quick, Osama, man, yeah, we were talking about it. We were hyping it up. Winston's pathing was vicious in this game, man.
Yeah, I was saying, I was like, okay, first 8 minutes, Supernova just need to survive. And then I come back, I just look at this Jarvan, I'm like, oh, they didn't ward, didn't they? The classic, you forget to ward against the Jarvan level 2. And then he's just going for his little Targon's proc, and, you're just instantly dead by the time that happens. Like, the moment he's like snuck up behind you in Tribush, you're just dead. And then he just gets the pathing Nirvana. He picks up the Nautilus camp bottom. It's like, alright, I'm gonna go do my blue, I'm gonna go do my Gromp, just a quick little 2-piece. And then he gets another opportunity later where he skips the Scuttle Crab, and Syndra, Shoshi is doing a really good job bullying this lane. And like the first 8 minutes, you just need to survive. Corki and Jinx, both their lanes kind of got ruined. Corki decides not to flash. Jarvan gets the flash auto off, and it's just a tragedy. The first 3 minutes and the game kind of just completely crumbles. And Jinx, Corki, they're very strong carries, but you need some time to like scale into the game. And I mean, Winston, Jarvan just said nope. So.
Yeah, that pathing looked personal. I think it's a good way to put it. That Jarvan was on a mission, and it was to ruin some days.
Yeah, not a lot of stuff can take a jungler away from a crab, but 300 gold little bag right there. It got him off it. Props to him. Junglers don't like giving up those crabs. I've seen a lot of solo games be ruined over those things. But yeah, he gave it up. He decided to dive mid. I mean, even that flash from Winston, I was very close to even not killing, but Corki greeted out, and that's like the main vulnerability with Corki. It's like you gotta just survive. You're not really that strong early game, but
right.
Yeah,
He was struggling so hard off of that as well. Like the health lead already in that state against the Syndra, you're down to like 200 HP. It's already going pretty poorly, but then Jarvan comes in and cleans you up. You have to teleport back to your lane with only a tier. Like, oh, it's really rough. And then he has to go for Hex Drinker as his first item too. Like,
yeah,
he is set so far behind.
And talking about struggling, we got to talk about who was thriving. And let me tell you, Meech was eating good here. He had a fantastic showing inside. We have a replay to welcome everybody to Meech Show. Smats, if you would.
Yeah, so I was talking about how excited I was for Meech. I have been waiting with bated breath to see this player back in action throughout the offseason. This is why, man. Look at him. He is outplaying everybody with all this movement. He's in a 1v3, and if he doesn't cancel that last auto attack that you just watched, he actually would have triple killed them. So just one slight error in like a 99% crazy outplay from him. I think you can take that one. Gets 2 kills for his efforts. What an insane player here. And he's playing this on Jhin, too. Like, you don't have that much movement to work with, but he works with what he's given. He takes the Gale Force, and this player is just insane. He can play so much as well. It's not just the Jhin.
Like, bro, think about it. Like, he literally got dove under his tower and said, I don't need the tower, and walked away and still popped off. Like, so good. We have a post-game screen here to actually show how everything broke. And I'm going to be honest, I'm expecting a huge line. Yep, there it is.
Oh, yeah. Hey, man, they had 29 gold lead at one point. That's pretty good. But, I'd take the 15K. No.
Asama, how do you feel about looking at this? What kind of story does this graphic show you here?
I mean, it's just Immortals had a win condition, and they just took advantage of every mistake that Supernova did. Like any type of counterplay or gank setup that Supernova was trying to make, I feel like it was instantly responded with. It was just like I mean, look at the graph. It's just going straight down for Supernova. No really like significant play was made to like bring them back into the game, and honestly, Immortals just has a really good comp to keep pressing their lead. You know, Leona just good CC, Syndra good CC. It's very good mix of damage as well. Syndra's the only mage, but there's still like Leona does some decent magic damage. It was just like a really good comp where Immortals, I mean, they came here and they came here to play. I'm not sure how their last series went. It was against Winthrop, right? Honestly, Winthrop is pretty solid team. I mean, they did pretty well last season from what I can remember. And I don't know, Immortals is coming here. They really want that second seed, and I mean, we'll see how next game goes, but that was a really good performance from them.
Yeah, it feels like they're just a different team over the last week. Like, it really clicked for them how they want to operate in that early game. Like you said, they had this really clear win condition with the Jarvan early game setting up for all these lanes, and they were definitely on a timer, right? The Syndra's definitely going to get outscaled by the Corki. Jin's not going to be able to cut through the Mundo later either. But they had that timer in mind. They went for all these early game plays. They all happened to work out as well, and that's exactly what you want to see from a team like this. I think they really showed that they made this last week of improvement stick, and they are coming for that second seed. They just have to win this game, and then we'll see how it goes from there. But I'm definitely feeling like they're going to close it out real soon.
We'll have to see. Immortals, they are on the pedestal for them to be able to pave their way into that second seed, as we've been talking about it, but Supernova is looking to be in their path. So, ladies and gentlemen, the teams are ready, the casters are ready. Gentlemen, take it on away.
Thank you so much, Travis C. We are excited to be right back for game number 2 after what we have to say was a clinical showing from Immortals AOE. It was set on the desk, and we'll say it here. They played their team composition to a T and then some.
Yeah, and good job, guys, on the desk, because really, you guys managed to say that IMT AOE played perfectly in so many different ways and highlighted so many of the different plays, because really, what else is there to say? I have one sentence to talk about for the last game. And going into game 2 here, Supernova, I mean, Smack said you're expecting a nice quick win coming out from IMT AOE. It certainly looks that way after game 1, but I don't think Supernova are just going to keel over and drop dead. If there's anything I know that this team can do, it's strong mentals, and they can definitely bounce back. I think what would be nice, again, like I said, go back to what they're used to, or just change up their draft completely here a little bit. There were a lot of strong tools for the late game, but not a lot of bridges to get them there. Even if it's just one winning lane, that might be all they need there. And we saw in the replays as well, a lot of those plays were actually kind of close. Maybe if a trap had landed, if they could get one more stun, if they had moved 1 second sooner, Supernova could have avoided some deaths, and maybe the whole game goes different. So I just want to see what Supernova can bring to the table here. I know they said they had no pressure, but maybe some sense of urgency.
Yeah, and that is something that they will have to bring into this second game, as Supernova actually selected blue side once again. So we get the same sides, same styles, and it's only going to be the champions that really make the difference, something that we have talked about. I want to get your thoughts here, because both Winston and Shochi were able to play so well, but it was off the back of those early ganks from the J4. Do you feel that the J4 of Winston needs to be banned away? Does that require a ban outright, or do you feel confident enough to maybe even just take it yourselves?
So the problem with banning the J4 is I don't think you have enough bans to keep everything in the early game away from Winston. Not only does he have the J4, he's played Lee Sin, Xin Zhao, Olaf. All of these are early game junglers, and granted, yes, they don't have the flag and drag knock up at level 2 quite the same way, but Lee Sin's ability to get in there, do the damage, right up there. Even at level 2, Olaf, a single axe is all you need to land. Xin Zhao able to gap close incredibly well as well. It feels like you'd have to ban 3, pick 1 yourself if you're looking to try and target out Winston's early game jungler pool.
Yeah, and I mean, it could be a possibility that they could run with, because so far, the bans are exactly the same. For Supernova, deciding, and there you go, right? That is going to be the J4 ban. I do agree with it. We'll see how it affects the rest of it, because as you stated as well, Immortals AOE just go, all right, well, we'll just throw him on something else that we know he can play. Let's go ahead and do that. IMA, though, what is their last ban? They cleaned house in Game 1. So, I mean, do they cover all of their options once again? Do they swap it up? Was there a single champion that they believe in Game 1 could cause them problems? Nope. Still the Thresh.
Yeah, I think the Thresh is a good ban away here. It provides so much safety playmaking as well. And honestly, even if you leave the Jinx open, you know you can handle it. You're not too worried about that. Now, Supernova did pick up the Jinx. I would like to see the Lulu, like we kind of mentioned, picked up to support that Jinx. Oh, anime girl, don't do me dirty like that. Don't do me dirty. I mean, yes, it's open. They traded the Akali ban for a J4 ban, but thank you. I still have... man, just these tank Akalis, man. Just no.
Which would you rather have, a tank Akali or a mid Tryndamere? Hard questions here for you, RMC.
Shoot me down.
Yes,
I think
what we wanted.
I'd still take the tank Akali over Mid Tryndamere. Mid Tryndamere is just a whole level of non-interaction. At least, you know, Akali's got some fancy plays. Mid Tryndamere is like, oh great, they pressed R. Or sorry, they spammed E. That's the other thing they do. They just blend away. Forget Garen.
Yeah, Beyblade for the win, as we do see IMA now swapping over to the other champion that we were hoping to see as well, the Lee Sin coming in here, not in Becco's hands instead, but Supernova say, hey, we have another way to counter your composition. That Leona gave us so many problems, now we'll give you those same problems, locking in their bot lane very early on.
Okay, and I do like that. I don't think Nautilus and Leona are necessarily interchangeable here. I think the fact that Trevor on that Leona had so many easy ways of engage which couldn't be blocked, like the Zenith Blade, the Solar Flare, was absolutely massive. And I like this even more, Orbital. I said, go back to what has worked for you in the past, the Galio. Ariando's bread and butter champion being picked up here, and I especially like it when you pair it with things like Leona or Camille. Camille's still available, might be picked up in the second round of picks and bans. And for the Leona here, I mean, yeah, the Solar Flare is just such a good way to kick things off to set up that Galio engage.
Yeah, well, you know what did slip through as well? It was banned away in round 2 of bans. Immortals AOE say, we're not letting you ban it anymore. It is going to be the Gwen for the top lane, a blind pick, an anime girls special.
And even better, it's a great pick into the Camille. So just by picking that alone, Supernova, well, sorry, Immortals AOE don't even need to ban the Camille here. They're daring you to try and pick up that Camille into the Gwen. Anime Girl has rocked that matchup multiple times, so I doubt we'll see that particular pick coming through for Fire Theft, unless, hey, maybe, you know, they're going to constantly camp that lane. We've not seen the jungler picked yet for Supernova, as well as that top laner, so I don't know if there is a jungler here would enable that matchup to really work well for a Camille.
And that's why it's actually going to be banned away. Immortals AOE willing to put the risk towards the top lane, saying, no, we don't even want to take that chance. We will throw the ban ourselves. We will force Fire Theft to pick something else up. Taking a look now, it is full support bans on the other side. Supernova saying not only the Nautilus is taken out, but the Rakan. And many players have, and many viewers as well, have also seen the power a Rakan can bring to a team composition.
Yeah, I actually was thinking of the Rakan as an option instead of the Leona there, because basically Immortals AOE would like something that can reach that back line, can threaten that Jinx. And now with the Nautilus and Rakan gone, there's not a lot of engage options from the support role that can do the same. Interestingly enough, they actually pick up the Nidalee to try and deny that away from Becco. I think Becco is probably the only person who's played Nidalee so far in the Proving Ground Circuit qualifier. Let's see, maybe it was a bug out, maybe it wasn't meant to be picked there. But yeah, I'm just surprised seeing a support pick left as R5 here.
Yeah, Nidalee definitely surprised me. You could see me kind of working the gears there, wondering where it was going to go. We'll get some more information on that. But I mean, if it is, there's also I have to say we have seen it in some locations, right? I think there was I forget which jungler it was, and I feel so bad that I don't remember, but there was someone, I believe, in the high tier challenger rating that did like to run Nidalee. It was a very much minor pocket pick though, so it can be done. Just in that composition, I do have to agree. I don't know where it would fit in. If it is there, that'll be really, really fun to see, though. As we do get right back in, I think we're going to run straight through these very, very quickly. We'll see if that was just a mess and what other options could potentially be picked up here as that blind pick for IMA.
I mean, for Immortal, that's why I was expecting the support pickup right there, right? You've already got, your top lane, your AD carry, and your jungler picked up. So you're only looking for a support and a mid. And that's what I was thinking, like Nidalee mid or Nidalee jungle, Lee Sin mid. I mean, that exists, and Lee Sin into Galio isn't terrible, at least laning-wise, but it just felt such an awkward pick there. I'm still trying to think about what support we might potentially still see come through from Trevor there, and I wonder if they're going to default towards these enchanters a little bit. Enchanters with Jhin don't feel quite as strong, but I mean, engage-wise, you've got Alistar, Rel. I don't feel like... Sure, Alistar does well into the Leona, but it's still not that backline engage that you really need from a support if you're picking an engage support.
Yeah, it's so just... wondering, what are the options that they're going to bring out? There's so many chances. And again, IMA do have that area to kind of fluctuate, to kind of flex their muscles here. They won game number 1 in very convincing fashion. If they have the confidence, they can pull it out here and cause a little bit of chaos, throw a mix into the stats that everyone loves so much here at Proving Grounds, get a couple aces under their sleeves. And as we run back through, now we get back to that spot that we were curious about right before we did swap back and watch the draft happen again. All the way up to this point, it was that Nidalee. Now, if this is locked in again, we do get to theorize if this is a support Nidalee. It's not. It will be the Rel. So this is a support Rel with the Jhin, a little bit shorter range than most of the engaged champions that we're used to.
Yeah, and Rel is a great counter engaged champion, so at least in the team fights will do well against the Leona, against the Galio here, but it's not necessarily giving that threat onto the backline of Psycho. And for Supernova, this is a good sign. You're not feeling particularly threatened right now. It's really just the threat of that Lee Sin into the backline. Now, mid lane pick up to try and counter the Nidalee actually will be picked up by Becco. Like I said, I think they're the only jungler currently in Proving Grounds playing that Nidalee in the jungle here. And what are you going to pick into the Galio for Shochi? I feel like there's so many options if you want to go for it. And Shochi does play a lot of AD melee mids as well, which do perfectly fine. Yep, there we go. Okay, the Yasuo to come through. So a very short range comp coming through from IMT AOE.
Yeah, it might be short range, and that is very true. But the damage this short range composition can put out onto your team comp is ridiculous. It is so powerful if you let them scale out of control. And Becco will have so much work to do, and that is where I really want to point the fingers, kind of shine the spotlight, because Winston had a ball of a time in game 1 from level 2, was affecting the map in every lane, quite literally affecting every lane. Bot lane got a kill, mid lane got a kill, kept running the map over and over again. I think there were 4 or 5 ganks on the bot side. And now you're playing Nidalee, right? Becco has such a large hole to kind of step into and try and bring and try and contend against Winston's pressure.
Yeah, but I do like the Nidalee pickup. If we're talking about early game here, Nidalee is a massive early game champion. I think at level 1, a max range spear is the highest single target skill in the game, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong there, if somebody on the analyst desk wants to fact check me. And so, with that sort of pickup into your lanes, there's a lot you can do. And not only do you have a strong early jungler, you kind of had that last game already, but more importantly, your lanes aren't bad either. Set level 1 is really strong. Yes, Gwen is strong at level 1, but Set is stronger yet. So you can look to play through that top lane early. Mid lane as well. Galio, Yone is not going to feel great for the Galio later on. Yone will outscale, will be able to handle 1v1. But in the early levels, Yone still needs time to buy the items. Yone's base stats actually aren't that amazing. So now you actually have lanes to play through. And then now Cycle gets time to scale up. I like what Supernova have drafted here. It's still that same tanky front line. It's a bit more all in onto Cycle in the late game, but that's perfectly fine. And Jinx is one of those AD carries which can 1v5.
Yeah, and now we get to see that chance of potentially Jinx actually scaling up. To give some perspective, if you did miss game number 1, we saw, I think it was a 25-minute beatdown is what we saw. And it was the Jinx not getting off the ground. max 2.5 items was not allowed to kind of fluctuate forward. This time, given the opportunity to have a better early game, right? Potentially getting those early kills as well with the Leona, and like you said, the ball composition. If we do see Psycho getting that advantage, will it be solely off of Pseudo's strengths, or will it also be from Ariendel and Becco visiting that bot lane as much as Winston visited bot lane in game 1?
Yes, overall, I think that the latter is more likely in this situation here. I mean, Leona Jinx is a potent combination. You can chain those stuns with the Chompers as well, and against both Rel and Jhin, it is actually very, very effective because Rel is a melee champion. Definitely can find your 2v2 advantage, but if you've watched the way Supernova play in the early game, they don't just kind of leave their bot lane in isolation whenever they've got a roam, a global for Ariendel. No, they dogpile into that bot lane ASAP to try and get Psycho hit. Psycho is usually their big late game win con, so I expect to see lots of action there. And for Immortals AOE, this gives them an interesting situation because they don't have to dogpile into the bot lane, right? Like, Meech doesn't have to win this bot lane. He's Jhin. He can go more utility based with how he wants to play. And in fact, you can kind of say, okay, Meech, Trevor, play safe, guys. You guys are fine playing defensively against this Nidalee, Jinx, and Leona. Just dodge those spears and instead look to get Shochi, look to get Anime Girl ahead, because Shochi had an amazing game last game. Anime Girl was left alone and still had so much utility. We've seen the Anime Girl Gwen before. If you get this Gwen ahead, if you get this Yone ahead, let these newer, younger players carry.
Yep. That is what their composition is made for. Same with Supernova, a chance at redemption here and a chance at seeing that opponent's Nexus explode. We'll have to wait and see, of course, as we want to make sure the broadcast is all set for you. We'll go to a short break, iron out any kinks that we have in the woodworks, and we'll be right back with game number 2. And we are back ready to go for game number 2. And what IMT AOE fans and players are hoping to be the final game of this series. They don't want to have to go to a game 3 again. They want to take it as clean as possible. And the best way to not make it as clean as possible is to invade. Supernova looking for a little bit of carnage.
Hey man, if you got Nidalee, you've got Leona, you can go in. In fact, the analyst desk did fact check for me. Nidalee, not the highest, but pretty darn close to Zoe, a little bit higher. But the fact that we're talking Zoe and Nidalee here, yeah, I think the invade's a solid choice to come through from Supernova and Immortals AOE, because they got that early ward on that top side from Anime Girl there. They knew that they were being invaded on. They were kind of safe, and they're just like, okay, guys, disengage for now. Let them jungle tour. We're not looking to early cheese them.
No reason to force anything right now. You can see the lovely skins coming out here. Muay Thai Lee Sin. The Lee Sin skin of choice that you would almost think it's the base skin for the champion. Blue buff start, though, going to be helped out by the bottom lane to give it both a bottom lane buff. So both junglers starting out with a little bit of help, and we'll be clearing bot to top.
I'm surprised there are actually so many Lee Sin skins. After all, if you're a Lee Sin player, you're Blind Monk, right? Can't see anyways.
It just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what skin. Gosh dang it, RMC. Oh man, that is too true, and I am so sad that Lee Sin, we'll never know how many Lee Sin skins there are. So we'll see if the buff though does come through, as early poke does come out from Meech. Meech playing fairly aggressively, and like they are able to get that early level 2 and possibly aggress with Trevor.
Yeah, and interestingly enough as well, Beko not looking to actually get this bot lane off this earlier to a huge started the bot side, pathing top side instead here. And one of the things about Nidalee, it's not just about the early ganks as well. Nidalee is a great invade jungler as well, so maybe Beko is looking to try and get an opportunity to go in onto Winston with some of the pressure that they have in the lanes. You can already see that fire that's been pushing up, but bot side, they'll fight on their own.
Yeah, they're going to go ahead and go very, very aggressive here. And a heal comes out very early on. Trevor not having heal to back them up, and that means a kill. Psycho able to pick up first blood. And as we stated, Supernova getting a little bit of the lead on a Jinx.
Yeah, that big difference there. Yes, you cleanse away from that Leona stun, but they just turn, and Rel actually isn't that tanky, especially if you can burst her down quick enough. A lot of her tankiness does come from a passive. It does need autos to stack it up in early game. It's just not enough, and you can see, hey, the moment we get pressure down there here, Beko, we talked about invading junglers, starting to look here, see if they can find anything, and if not, can they get an easy early gank on Anime Girl?
The crazy thing is, Winston actually sniffs this out. It's playing in the fog of war a bit, and Anime Girl trying to stack up. They're gonna call this little boost here. A taunt under the tower lands, and no save is there, even with Winston available. Supernova complete the dive. Now they're gonna go for a little bit more. Shochi eating a lot of damage. The Haymaker taking him quite low. One more spear landing could be their death. And Winston dashes into it. Thankfully, the shield was up, or Beko could have left with a kill of their own.
Winston doing a homie a solid there. Didn't have to take it, but just to be safe, to make sure Shochi didn't go down, did take it. And now this game, the shoe's on the other foot. Last game, it was IMT AOE bursting off to the races here, whereas this time, Supernova able to find the early plays, and you love to see it. Now, in this particular combo, watch Ariandel, because in the past, the Renekton Nidalee combo was massive because of the guaranteed spear. You can do the same thing with Galio. Taunt lands, easy spear, hop in, kill, pounce right back out, easy as it please. And trying to go back in with a Yone, now that's a mistake because Yone is so squishy, doesn't have enough damage. Fire Theft basically took no damage whatsoever from that re-engage and almost killed them both.
He was very, very happy about that exchange, allowing him to catch up in CS. And Anime Girl coming back straight to lane, did use a teleport match actually by Fire Theft, so they should have a decent time in the top lane. Where the differences come through is Ariendo here in the mid lane. He's going to go ahead, pick up an extra Amp Tome, and start stacking up as quickly as possible before Shochi gets out of control. Yeah,
and so far Ariendo's done a pretty good job of, constantly shoving. It is worth noting, though, that Shochi actually has an experience lead on this, and that might come back to bite Ariendo at that level 6, especially if Winston starts looking for a gank as well. You can try and punish that Galio before they can start to roam out and help the lanes. But speaking of Winston, we've not actually seen Winston get any early ganks off quite yet on this Lee Sin.
Hasn't had the opportunity really. You saw him trying to play to the fiddle of the top lane, and again, that early aggression that we saw came off the back end of Supernova not putting anything down, right? Of course, like we said, the Lee Sin not having as many gauge options, but it's still there. And with the aggression the bot lane's putting down, it might create a window of opportunity. Meech and Trevor trying to lay down poke on the opposition.
Yeah, Shochi though.
Oh, huge spear landing, forcing the flash out of Shochi, who lived with about 50 HP. That spear at max range hurts so much.
Yeah, and that's that early game chunk. This is why Beko still plays Nidalee right now, top side.
Ooh, huge jump in, but that was not a fight Fire Theft wanted. Anime Girl takes the solo kill. Now is getting chased away. That hunt is not going to result in anything. Ariendo burning that rune and is now back to farming up the lane.
Yeah, that was an aggressive gank there, and the Predator from Ariendo here, not even level 6 yet, doesn't care, doesn't matter. I'll brute force the ganks another way, and it's kind of working. In fact, Fire Theft probably pulled the trigger a little bit. I think wasn't expecting the burst damage that can come out of that snip with that Conqueror from Anime Girl there, and that is potentially a very costly mistake for them, because last game, IMT AOE had to play everything perfectly. They had the early game comp with very little scaling, This time, the Gwen, the Yone, both of those scale really, really well, so you don't want to be feeding them early.
It does. I mean, it's only one so far, right? It's only one, and the CS is negligible right now. So it's not out of control just yet. What is going to affect the lane is this early Ocean, which normally we don't get to see it as often, but taking it at 7.5 minutes should allow IMT AOE to weather through some of this poke that was being laid down in the bot side, right? Psycho and Pseudo poking away. That'll be regen up. Same for the top side. Anime Girl is going to enjoy getting a little bit of a health advantage against Fire Theft, who has innate healing as well.
Yeah, and that's huge for Anime Girl right now because there's only the Conqueror healing, right? There's no Rift Maker coming through or Leeching Leer for Anime Girl just yet, so the sustain is going to feel really, really nice. Now, Supernova answering what Winston just pulled. Winston not only got the Dragon, but actually invaded on the red, and now Supernova, they're answering, and they're potentially setting up for the Herald here. They've called Pseudo up, and this is a pretty large investment here.
Having indeed a nice dance out from the taunt. Shochi probably doesn't want to re-engage. However, Trevor is coming up as well. Pseudo throwing down the gauntlet here. A dance of 2v1, which is actually a 3v2 as majority share of Supernova are showing up in the mid. Ariandel goes, come on, I just want any of my CS. Please stop leeching experience. Pseudo says, thanks for the cannon.
Nah, Ariandel's a Galio. You know that you're relegated to supportive style when you pick that there. And for a second, it looked like a 3v3 as Anime Girl actually threatened to roam down, but Winston kind of called it off, said, we don't want it. Now, Herald being started up here. It's another 3v3. Winston actually moving on this one here.
Yeah, and the spear is going to land once again. Trevor eats that one. It looks like Fire Theft was a little bit quicker, so Rift Herald, which has been fought over here for the last couple seconds, is now going to break out in a fight. It is quite split, but the rocket from downtown is going to lock down Shochi. The Haymaker takes it home, Fire Theft takes it, and the Snip Snip does enough. Fire Theft will fall once again. A trade of 1 for 1. Very, very important to note, though. Anime Girl coming out a wee bit stronger. Psycho on the bot side, though, picking up an assist and getting 2 plates to boot.
Yes, Supernova are happy with the trade so far here. Might be happy here.
Yeah, Trevor is able to hop away, does have a little bit of safety, but at the cost of his jungler's life, Meech jumps over the wall, and Winston and Trevor do survive. This is not only the night of upsets, but it's a night of getting away from death in some very improbable situations.
Yeah, some really tight ones here, and with the way IMT AOE are playing, they're playing a little bit with fire. They were able to answer, but there was cost to what happened. First off, when we watch this Herald fight breakout, it's important to note IMT AOE didn't have vision. So they are walking into an ambush, and that is really dangerous against the likes of a Leona and a Nidoe, who can kind of spear you at will. And then Anime Girl coming in from the back end as well meant that Fire Theft got to start the fight off a bit earlier, contribute that damage. Now, we know how the rest of the fight goes. We saw the rocket come up, and with that rocket coming up, Psycho just stayed bot and continued taking turret plates, whereas Meech had to waste time walking up to actually get in range of the curtain call. So Supernova not only get the Herald, their AD carry got a small advantage.
Visit to the top side means Fire Theft is going to get a massive Haymaker off tower, is going to do some damage, but Anime Girl just says, nah, it doesn't matter. I'm still going to get the lead, and you called it at the beginning. Anime Girl taking a blind pick when a champion we all know and love, and putting a 2-1-1 score on top of it. It's a big target on Anime Girl's back.
And I've got to say, overall, you know, when we saw that first kill go down for Anime Girl, it was just like, oh, it's just one kill. Well, Shochi?
Ooh, that was a very close one, and still is able to pick up the kill on the back, and one too many tower shots for Ariandel.
Yeah, at least they managed to answer back, you know, for that kill there, so it's still kind of even. Bot side, though, is becoming a problem. Psycho got so much alone time.
Ooh, taken very, very low, but is able to open up the curtain call. And now the firing back is there. Great stun coming out of Trevor. The soul play to slow things down. One more auto attack would have done it, but Psycho has to trade back onto Trevor. Pseudo and Psycho allowed to play out, but a flash in means a knock-up. And a W block by Pseudo. Good guy support is going to turn around. Couple more rockets, though, as Winston finishes it off, but it's still a double kill to the pocket of Psycho.
Not just a Psycho, but the Jinx here. Orbital, we said it's the big carry condition for Supernova, so every little bit you can accelerate. Not only did Psycho get solo plate turret gold on the bot side earlier, not to mention yet another 2 plates since we last checked, the experience as well, but now the extra kills. As far ahead as Anime Girl is getting, I'm more worried about this Jinx Meech under turret.
You know, last time Meech got dove, he came away with 2 kills out of it and then a follow-up sweep by Shochi. This time around does not have that Gale Force in pocket, only has the steel-plated boot caps, and it's just like, nah, I don't want anything to do with that.
And even on this back, doesn't quite have enough for the Gale Force yet. Whereas when you look over at Psycho, Psycho's already picked up the Kraken Slayer.
Yep. Psycho's feeling so strong, and it's just in time for this upcoming Drake. Supernova have yet to claim a dragon for themselves, and with a Mountain Dragon in their on live here on Rift, it's a big question, and doesn't get a punch off. Feels bad moment there. Rift Herald not taking a single thing. Taunt goes in though. The Q was in. Does Winston want to go? Yes, they do, and Winston says, "Great, solo kill for me."
We said it last game, it's still true this game, even when the team's behind. Winston will always look for these kills, will always be hyper aggressive, put pressure down, and because they found Ariandel, despite the fact that, hey, Herald was dropped, bot lane was threatened, Psycho's popping off, IMT AOE are going to be the ones claiming the second dragon of the game. Vako, not even close, was invading to try and get back ahead and ends up just giving over a free objective.
It is a mountain, though. It's not as terrifying as some would make it out to be. Gives a little extra armor and magic resist, but who's really going to be building that? So it's negligible for the time being. Cloud Soul, though, coming up is going to be one that we do want to watch. It will allow either Supernova or IMT AOE to have fantastic positioning around the map.
Yeah, but Supernova right now, you know, they are still answering everything here.
Ooh.
You know, even as we say that IMT AOE's been having good positioning, Psycho again getting yet another turret there. It went down after 14-minute mark, but most of the plates were already picked up by Psycho at that point. And I'm just waiting for Supernova to actually start looking for these team fights and stat checking with this Jinx. And they are waiting for Jinx to complete the second item, most likely the Runan's Hurricane to come through. And then IMT AOE. Who's going to be able to answer this? Is Shochi ready yet? There we go. Immortal Shilbo just picked up. So they do have the item power spikes to at least try and reach this Jinx.
Yeah, I mean, the stat check is going to show that the teams are no more than about 300 gold apart. And you said it, Mythics coming through here. I think only a few members do not have them, most notably Becco, Ariandel, and so as Pseudo still trying to build into that. So only a few members do not have their Mythics available for any type of team fight, which is why IMT AOE are willing to just stick with the lanes, right? Keep Anime Girl on the side, keep split pushing. Don't stat check just yet, no reason to. The globals have gone into their hands, so IMT AOE just say, cool, let's keep rolling. Do the same thing that got us the winning game 1.
A little bit different in that they don't have quite the lead or the strength they had in game 1, so they can't just, 15 minutes, let's start fighting for everything here. But definitely, yeah, the laning does favor them. We already touched on how strong Anime Girl is and how no one can really answer the 1v1 right now, but Shochi's getting up there with that Immortal Shilbo, can now start to lane against Ariandel. Winston playing with fire here, but your Lee Sin, you can always hop in, always hop out. And are they going to try and contest this Herald here? There's no TP for Anime Girl.
Well, it is second Herald, right? So that is something to keep in thought, maybe running through IMT AOE's thoughts as well. But they are going to look to chance. 5.5k left. Huge hit on the eye. Winston in range. He's going to land the Sonic Wave. Can you pick it up? No, it's not. That is easily sectioned off by Supernova. However, can they pick it up? That's the big question, right? I don't know if IMT AOE are going to stick around though for a full minute. That would be a lot of time and resources spent. It's going to be grabbed by Pseudo, and Pseudo says, thank you very much. It's going to be the Predator being popped. I think that was just to push everyone of IMT AOE away.
Yeah, I'm actually a little bit surprised Winston didn't try going for that Dragon's Rage to disengage, but Fire Theft was coming up, so I think if they use that ultimate, Supernova will just pull the trigger for the fight immediately there, trying to make things happen. And IMT AOE, I respect that they're trying to go for these, but Supernova, we said before, their early game, when they're on point, is very, very good. And the patience, the discipline as well, to hold and wait till the Lee Sin Q had dissipated before finishing it off is exactly what we want to see. Now, the question that has plagued Supernova so far in this season 2022 is, what do they do after the early game? They've got their advantages. It's starting to kind of even out a little bit here. Where do they go from now? How do they transition this lead? I'd like to see them team fight as soon as possible, and Psycho should be almost should have enough gold. Yeah, there we go. Runan's Hurricane picked up. Now's the time for you to go.
Time, as you said, to kick things off, and with the dragon in a minute, it will be on Supernova. Decide to pull that off. You see the very lovely recall. Gotta love the recall animations. Ariendel, though, doesn't want to take the baby chick back to spawn. Instead says, hey, we have a little bit more time to hold onto the top lane and try and farm up, as he is lagging quite a bit, about 30 CS behind Shochi. Yeah,
the only non-support player right now to not have a mythic built just yet there. And yeah, if you look at total gold, actually, Fire Theft's a little lower in terms of gold there. I guess Ariendel just hasn't spent the gold recently.
Just, all right, I'll hang on to it. There we go. Now has bought, and now plenty of time. The Everfrost is always one to watch for, and I think that is something that is going to help these engages so much more, right? Ariendel goes in, is able to throw down the Everfrost after taunting everyone, and all of a sudden you have the perfect CC chain. So the combinations can be real, and IMT AOE have got to be aware of it. However, with 10 seconds left on the Dragon, it is actually going to be the drop of the Herald to start pushing kind of autonomously for Supernova to get in position for the Dragon.
Yeah, and Supernova can actually just escort this if they want as well here. It's not going to be quite enough to take the turret down. They do get the inside track, but Shochi does have teleport. Anime Girl is still on the flank here, and this is actually bad for Supernova. They cannot afford to expose their back to a flank. They just need to defend for Psycho here.
Does look like IMT AOE aren't even going to chance it because of the fact Shochi was on the top side. No reason to waste those resources. That does leave a mid lane exposed as well. Wave is pushed in. One little minion takes a single tower shot, while on the top side, 6 are barreling down. Tower was taken, puts it to 2-1. IMT AOE favored in the macro game so far.
Yeah, taking that turret there, trading for a Cloud Drake. I think that's perfectly fine. Cloud Drakes aren't terribly valuable, but do be careful about letting them stack up, just because the out of combat movement speed might come back to bite them, allowing Fire Theft and Ariendel to get some really sick engages into the backline, and Psycho actually able to answer in the mid lane as well. So the team's still neck and neck so far. Although we've not had the stat check I was hoping to see. Ariendel.
Oh, well, this might be at least one of them. Ariendel can't do anything, and is going to be put into the ground. Shochi picking up a second.
Yeah, this is before Shochi's completed second item, by the way. So it's just pretty much, components plus an Immortal Shield bow starting to become a problem. Fire Theft, what are you doing here?
Yeah, Fire Theft actually jumps in, throws down the Showstopper, is going to try their best. Huge Punch is going to lay down the damage, but the follow-through from IMT AOE is explosive, to say the least. They shred through Supernova, kick him out from under the tower, and Winston actually chasing for a single kill. The snipe doesn't come through, but Pseudo is allowed to live. The tower fell as well, and Fire Theft unfortunately teleported to his death.
Yeah, onto the turret there. Not quite coordinated with the team, and that costed them. You saw the moment Psycho goes down as well. Yes, they managed to kill Anime Girl, but is it worth it? Not really. And with how close the fight ended up going as well, you kind of think if Fire Theft had walked in instead, or coming from a different angle, maybe they could have turned that. But unfortunately, he got popped so early that Psycho just didn't have a proper front line for the rest of that fight.
You can see here Winston, the player that we watched from game 1, now in game 2, maybe overshadowed a little bit by Anime Girl's play in the top lane, has still secured a fairly strong score. 3-1 and 4, still very strong with the Gore Drinker, has been allowed to play a little bit fast and loose in the back line. Even though it might not be as strong as the J4 right now, still gives him plenty to work with and plenty of kill pressure. However, when you're on the bot side, when Baron's being started, it's going to be a bit difficult. Supernova actually just baiting out for a kill, and they found one.
Yeah, beautiful play there. I don't actually know if they had vision on Winston there, but clearing out the vision, threatening this, they can do this. They've got a numbers advantage now. There's not a lot of poke on the side of IMT AOE, so any attempt to disengage Supernova here would involve them actually walking in and risking their lives here. Meech trying their best, but there's no curtain call available.
In goes Anime Girl. Shochi now revealing themselves from that bush, and they're going to try and break it out. Solarflow actually whiffs, and that's going to be the Shochi ultimate, but the firing back, the shutdown is real. But IMT AOE once again shred through the showstopper. Does minimal damage, but the rockets are really where it's at.
The reset?
A nice zapper catches Winston, and the safeguard is going to manage to keep him alive. He is going to sprint to safety. Rest of Supernova are going to back away, but right there in the damage rush, you can see who put down the most damage.
Oh my goodness there. First of all, Fire Theft, the true damage just raked across the team, but I'm more shocked that Psycho, and Psycho is probably shocked too, was expecting to finish off Winston, turned and looked for Meech instead with the remainder of the Get Excited, but Winston actually survived. The reset didn't fully come through for Psycho there, and IMT AOE, after what looked like a rough fight, barely getting away. We talked about the lack of vision here, and Trevor, you can't even blame Trevor at that point, right? You need to get vision, and how are you going to get in? Almost any way you try, there's some sort of CC to try and find you, and I'm just trying to watch how Fire Theft managed to absolutely wreck everybody in that fight. He's playing zone control here.
Playing zone control, but Shochi on the flip side, fantastic ultimate to get into the middle of the fight was unfortunately popped, but that pull right there, I think that combination with the Dragon's Rage was enough to kind of stall it out. If it hadn't landed, if it hadn't dropped enough damage,
oh my goodness,
it could have very easily been an ace for IMT AOE. But you can see the sprint away, right? Winston was just like, I'm living on a prayer right now, and it is very much really a prayer.
Yeah, that's just insane here. And now IMT AOE, they got the vision. They can back off, but you can see that despite the gold lead, IMT AOE isn't necessarily that comfortable in a straight-up team fight. They're not feeling strong here. Instead, they're just buying time for Shochi to split push, and Dragon spawning Supernova left the Baron.
Yeah, they left the Baron and don't suspect a thing, right? You can see everyone splitting out for the Dragons. Only one is going to check. Ariandel and Pseudo are going to check now. They have now spotted it. It's down to about 3.5. Is Pseudo going to go for the Solar Flare? No, they're going to try and fight and engage on the back end. Psycho has to go into the stasis, and in comes Ariandel. He's going to be able to save his ADC. They swing wide. Nope, never mind, I lied. Up on the kill feed, you do see the ADC dead, but the Baron, most importantly, he is going to go down. Winston now wants to continue the fight. Curtain call breaks open. It is going to slow down Fire that really doesn't have an option out. Over the wall goes Rel, and now the Haymaker is going to manage a bit of damage, and the cleanup duty is completed. IMT AOE may have lost their mid laner, but they take 3 in response and have the bust to boot.
They have the Baron buff, the only one that really matters right now, Becco.
Yep, that's the tag and the kill. Winston now with a 300 gold bounty on his head is looking for a bit more flashes under the tower. Decides against it, says, I'll let you live, when really it was Ariandel going, I taunted you, I got away cleanly. Still though, towers falling in the mid lane, inner tower, inhibitor tower, and inhibitor soon to follow. And
Supernova did not get the Dragon on that push. We saw them peel away Becco, started it up, and the moment they realized that, wait, IMT AOE is actually doing Baron, Becco needs to get over here, they left. So IMT AOE can actually go back and pick up the Dragon for themselves as well. Talk about taking everything on the map.
Leave nothing to chance. This, you know, maybe it's not as fast as game number 1, but it was still their bread and butter. They took every inhibitor. They take every dragon, but it's a steal! Oh, you thought you could, but Psycho said psych! 2 dragons down in the pocket of Supernova, 2 Cloud Dragons as it is, as you know, IMT AOE will not sit on Soul Point.
It feels like we're back at the beginning of 2021 here with a snipe away from the Super Mega Death Rocket, and this is what I was talking about with Supernova having to be very careful about getting flanked. They thought they were the ones going in, and they didn't track Shochi carefully. So you saw right in the beginning of the fight, Psycho's already dead, and Shochi right here being the team player, that wasn't a, you know, oh, I'm going to be the hero play. That was, I'm going to buy time for my team play. So they not only get the kills, they get the Baron, and Supernova just overstays slightly, ends up losing everything there.
Lose so much. A continuation of this play does show Becco falling, Galio getting away, and the tower's falling, right? That's the main point to talk about, as they lost an inhibitor in the mid lane, and now bot side also being pressured. Spear just goes right between the goalposts as Anime Girl and Ariandel. Oh, that is a Zanya's that you hate to see. The Seamstress steals a 5th life.
Oh, and now Fire Theft getting chunked out by pretty much just the curtain call there as well. Super's pushing into the base with another 18 seconds. IMT AOE, they weren't in a good position before the Baron buff. They were actually struggling to push. They were just using split push pressure for the most part, trying to out macro, but now they are well and truly at a point where they can brute force. Now, inhibs down, mid and bot, they have supers they can escort into that top lane.
Anime Girl already reading the mind of the macro play, saying, hey, I got a wave, we're good to go. Perfectly done. And you said Baron, but it just timed out, so they'll only take this tower and walk away. Potentially Trevor, of course, hiding off on the wings, providing some support off on the edge as IMT AOE wondering if they can continue pushing. It is a real option, but I don't know if they want to chance it. Shochi, of course, eating a brunt of that slow, and they're actually going to channel onto Fire. That too brings the showstopper right back out. Anime Girl right in the middle still gets the kill, but is going to trade their own life. Down in the backline, Shochi off of that soul is now going to swing right back, but no, the kill is made. Becco makes him pay. A kick lands onto Pseudo, very sorry, and now the Q lands. Down goes Leona, and that is a 2-4-2. Top laner Zed, mid is Zed for IMT AOE, and the support of Pseudo is down. 3v3 IMT AOE want to see how much they can get off this push.
Not much more. Maybe they can crack the top side, but more importantly, Psycho is alive. And for Supernova right now, Psycho is the end-all be-all of this team. You need wave clear? Psycho. You need damage? Psycho. You need to win a team fight? Psycho. And in that last fight right there, you saw that they could not actually reach Psycho properly. Shochi and Anime Girl, I don't want to say they overdove, because that was more Fire Theft setting up a really good start of the fight by locking them out of position. But the point is they went deep, and unfortunately, Psycho was just able to free fire. So right here, yeah, they're kind of going in, but it's Fire Theft coming in from the side that really caused problems for them there when they got put into that choke point. Everybody's not in a position to punish Psycho, and you can see Psycho just in the base able to free fire as well.
And a huge thing, I think, as well, is Shochi did not have the ultimate, had to use it to escape. So it wasn't the big follow-up that you were really expecting. So a little bit of air to be given Supernova's side. We will be able to go back, pick up a little bit more farm. With 2 inhibitors down, yes, you're being pressured on all ends, but at least you might be able to pick up a little bit of extra gold, right? 3 items deep for Psycho, granted a bottom lane all to themselves, landing on level 15. Not that all-important level 16 just yet. But it is going to be a nice little boost up, because this could potentially be the last stand.
Yeah, it is, with the Super still pushing in the bot side here. Supernova a little bit distracted. They're trying to hold this top side, and Shochi is poking from over the wall right here.
Rocket's chunking out pretty well. That's going to be the Predator going in. Did you get the taunt down? And Anime Girl gets chunked out. Who else is going to fall? Nope, goes straight into the stopwatch. A follow through from Rel is going to manipulate the health bars. Down goes Gwen, and Supernova survives. Pseudo was able to stay alive. That's going to be a trade 1-for-1, and they're going to continue pushing. Shochi has pushed in the lane, is going to now fly right back out. Only take the mid lane inhibitor, and Supernova once again stave off death. But only for a moment. Tower falling quite low. Shochi trying to go in. Misses the ultimate, but it doesn't matter. Psycho. Psycho's going to go quite low. Ariendel is going to maintain a little bit of safety, and they're going to fight right back. Meech, though, with those shots, those cannons, a blows, a dodge from Pseudo on the side. Means it's only an inhibitor. Supernova have got to recall, have got to go back, heal up as quickly as possible, as now they're facing a double wave of super minions. All inhibitors are down. Nothing is being left to chance, as IMT AOE want to close this out in a 2-0. Ariendel goes in, gets the Ever Frostbite, has to go into the Zanyas, and that leaves Shochi a way to get a kill. Fire that drawing him in. Teleport from the base. Anime Girl says, I'm back, I'm ready to party. Knockups upon damage as the Seamstress flies through the base. That will be the ace as IMT AOE take the 2-0 sweep.
Orbital, Psycho is love, Psycho is life for Supernova, and Psycho was dead in that last fight, completely not able to answer back properly there, and that hurts to see. Supernova put up such a good fight that game, and they felt like they were winning right up to the moment they messed up at the Baron, and then it just went downhill from them. A really quick end as well. I'd love to see the Baron damage charts, the gold charts, especially after that Baron, because I suspect we're about to see another cliff in those charts.
There's a direct correlation between Baron attempts and gold drops for this game specifically.
Yeah.
And I love that you pointed it out, right? Again, Supernova had the early game lead, fantastic kills, and all the lanes showed so much promise. But now Supernova unfortunately have fallen. That does give birth to the side of IMT AOE as they will move on to secure that second place seed. Of course, it wasn't without the hardships, but off the back of some fantastic players. And I think you have some thoughts on that specifically.
Well, they haven't quite secured the second place seed just yet here. They still have to get past Dare Gaming. And it's actually very interesting because IMT AOE is going to face every single team in their group here. So they still have one more challenge to get through here, Orbital. But I will say thank you, IMT AOE, for salvaging my predictions tonight.
Yeah, you're 1-2 currently. Well, that also covers up the fact that I forgot that there was a second match. Of course, that will be played, I believe, next week, which will be such a fun time to watch. And so we'll have to wait and see. Again, this IMT AOE squad looks so strong. Game 1, surgical. Game 2, maybe some students came in to take over the surgery. We're not too sure. They still came out with a victory. They still completed it all the way through. And now we get to wait and see how that plays out. Of course, that will be the last series of the evening. So we'll go ahead, go to a very quick break and get ready for a few interviews and the closing out from our analyst test. So please don't go anywhere.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Unified Proving Ground Circuit. Travis here, and I'm joined here with Fire Theft. Fire Theft, unfortunately, that last series didn't get to go the way that you wanted, but how are you guys feeling coming together as your squad here for Supernova?
We're feeling okay. It's been obviously a bit of a rough patch in this group stage with matches not going the way we wanted to. But at the end of the day, when we look at the individual games, especially with our change in performance between game 1 and 2 in this series, us putting together a game plan that we think will work and executing on it pretty well, just with a rough closeout and mid to late, we're not feeling too bad. Obviously, it sucks to be knocked out of this tournament. It's been a really good time so far, and I feel like we've made really big strides. So to lose the chance to keep competing and improving for right now definitely sucks, but all we're doing is looking to the future because it's going to be a long season.
I mean, the future looks like it could possibly be very bright for you guys. So you got to see game number 2 showed us a lot of glimpses of greatness inside of it, especially the way you guys played around early game with that Galio. I was a big fan of that. How was the communication going? Was this Galio something that you guys were planning to get into? I know Ariandel plays a good Galio, so how was that going?
Yeah, I always am itching to make use of my teammates' strengths. Like when I think that we're not pulling out picks in our matches or our scrims that I know they're good on, I like to mention it or try to find the slot. And it was his call out here, and we said that we just wanted an early pressure mid to play with Baco's Nidalee. So when it came down to it, that was what he wanted to play, and I was all for it. It fulfilled just what we needed.
Yeah, in fact, I do want to bring up something. I want to highlight you because off stream, I was talking about you because of the fact that you were in game number 1. Mundo had the highest damage inside the game, was going where he pleased. And then in game number 2, man, your set was pretty just impressive. You were constantly getting some very impactful set ults and whatnot to make sure that your team was set up for success. How are you feeling coming in personally as a top laner, and how do you feel your growth is going throughout this Proving Ground Circuit qualifier?
First of all, thank you. I really appreciate that. I think that some things failed to connect in the early game, obviously. Anime Girl's really strong top laner, and he definitely showed it with his matchup knowledge and win versus set. But like you said, I still feel good about my team fighting and comboing with my team for the rest of the game. Just was difficult to come back from that early game. And to answer the second part of your question, I've taken a bit of a break from amateur, like for a long time now, actually. Ever since I started playing on ASU in 2020, I haven't messed around with amateur like virtually at all. And so this last fall, even like our collegiate team was like not quite scrimming as much, like as in the past and what we might have done before, kind of a break over winter break. And so I haven't really like had my engine up and running for a long time, but I've like loved it. This past month scrimming with Supernova, the environment is great. I feel like I'm getting like better and back in form and better than I ever was before very quickly. And so, I mean, once again, emphasizing the long season, I feel like it's only up for me and it's only up for Supernova.
I love to hear that. I was going to bring that up too because I was like, man, you took a little bit of a break from amateur for a bit, but I'm very happy to hear that. And how does it feel since you have been playing in collegiate? I want to ask, how does it feel having MLBD coming in as the coach? He's coming out from being from collegiate himself, coming out of college, and he's coming into this coach role. How has it been working with MLBD?
It's been great, honestly. Like, because even though with the break, I've played on a lot of different teams and I worked with a lot of different coaches, and I've definitely accumulated like a certain taste for what kind of coaching style I prefer. And if a coach, fails to listen to players, or like just kind of egos like unnecessarily, those kinds of things can really like rub me the wrong way. But MLBD is like none of those things. He's like a great listener to all players. He just wants to incorporate like our best ideas and lead us in the right direction. I feel like his temperament's great in wins and losses, and I'm excited to keep working with him.
I love to hear that. With that being said, last thing, what do you got to say for the fans out there from Supernova that have been watching the Heart of Amateur go along?
To all the Supernova fans, I've said it time and time again. I'll keep saying it. Season's only going to get better. We're only going to get stronger, and we have so many more wins to show you. So don't give up. Don't give up hope.
Yeah, no hope to give up here, man. We got Supernova looking like they got some good stuff going up their way. That being said, thank you so much for Firetheft for coming out for this interview and hanging out with us here. With that being said, we're going to throw it back over to our desk where we're going to get into that series. And gentlemen, we are back. We are ready to get into the nitty-gritty here. Talk about this dub that did go out in the favor of IMT AOE, and I'll be honest, man. Supernova at the beginning of the game, they had me going, man. I was like, oh, they're playing around the map. They fix a lot of their issues.
It was definitely a better showing for them for the first part of that game. I'm glad that we got to hear from Firetheft about it as well, because I think that they definitely showed that they weren't just going to lie down and die, which is very good, because they definitely had that sort of vibe after the first game, you know. So I definitely respect the morale to come back and still be able to try stuff.
Yeah, I mean, definitely compared to the first game, I mean, they were active. They had a very clean Galio dive, completely in and out, and almost turned out to be more. Couple spears. I think the one spear went wide, but very good early game. Honestly, it was just they kind of just like fumbled it mid to late. There's just slowly bleeding out farms, slowly like not a good use case of the Herald. It was just honestly it was very sad to see, because I was really wanted a game 3, but I mean, closing out games is just, I mean, it's just a part of League of Legends, and you know, you just gotta rinse and repeat with your team, and you just gotta review the mistakes that were made.
I'm talking about that Herald. We do have a replay. Supernova getting the Herald and whatnot, but had a little bit of interesting shenanigans that happened on the side. Lots of gold to be shared. Asai, if you could take it away.
Yeah, I mean, this play, I mean, it starts with, I mean, the bot lane is still bottom, and you know, they're clearing vision, they're going to the fog, and it's just a battle for Herald. You know, I mean, they're sitting in the bush. Galio's very strong in these situations. He doesn't follow up instantly. They're kind of like just testing the waters. Set is still moving, and Jin just starts to fully commit. They don't even get the Herald, but it's a close fight where it's just not really worth it, I guess, for Immortals, because this Jinx is just sitting bottom, and Supernova just, I feel like they edge out way more getting the actual Herald and not having their AD move, and they still get another follow-up engage here. They're not done. Aftershock gets off, but barely able to live here. I believe they all live. Yeah, they barely all live. They just snagged the blue buff. And this was really good from Supernova. I was really happy with all of this, how it all turned out. But it's just the way they used the Herald afterwards. It just like fizzled out. I mean, Herald has 4 minutes on it. You gotta like try to make use of the 4 minutes you have with it. They really couldn't, you know, you could have even just shoved out bot lane, used any prio lane, and just smack it down and get 2 plates. You know, at the the bare minimum. You know, that's like what you want when you have Herald. So anytime you get Herald and you're not able to make use case of it, it's always a time for review. Go into VOD reviews and you know, try to improve in that area of your gameplay, because I mean they had it was really good, and then yeah, they kind of just fumbled the bag a little bit.
Funneled a lot of gold into the Jinx. A good place to funnel gold, but we did get to see the payoff of that. There was a lot of hopeful moments that were inside the fights, and even when IMT looked like they were taking more solid control, Smats, we have a replay to actually showcase this. This Jinx was still a threat.
Yeah, because Psycho did have a lot more resources this time around, you are actually able to make a play like this one, where you have early Baron setup, you got your whole team stacked up and ready to go. The jungler and the top laner on the other team are not here. You get to catch out the enemy, support trying to drop a ward, you know, doing a little bit of exploring there, Trevor, trying to get some wards down, see if they're on the Baron or not. And with the way that this fight plays out as well, like you just said, Psycho is able to pop off super, super hard. The only problem, as we're about to see, is that he does have to flash right here. He has to flash the Yone ultimate. And
Good
when
flash as
you're...
well, yeah.
It was a good flash, but when your Jinx doesn't have that ability anymore, you have to play a very different way for the next 5 minutes. And even though this play
Yeah,
ended up working out really
if they
well
got
for them,
these kills, it would have been really
Yeah.
different. It's just these guys barely got to get away.
Ah, it's safeguard at the end, making sure the Lee Sin was able to stay alive too. That's heartbreaking. As when you see the AD carry get a rocket off and that shield pops up and it's just enough to edge by. It's a feels bad moment for sure, but it felt good seeing what they were able to do with Psycho there. But we do have another replay to show exactly where that does become unfortunate.
This is the punish that we're about to watch, where Psycho doesn't have flash anymore, and it's really easy for Supernova to get caught out of position. You have to play a very different way to protect this carry, and they sort of went into panic mode because Immortals do have a Baron timer. They're not actually spotted, and Supernova are not ready to keep Psycho safe in this one. You can see Fire Theft's not in the fight quite yet. They haven't set up really solid battle lines, and this Yone flank is about to ruin their day.
Yeah, and just look at this, man. Psycho, he tried so hard to stay alive in this, but no flash.
Yeah, stopwatch can only buy you so much time if you're in a good position, but I mean, when you spawn out of it and there's just a Yone still there and a Rel, it's a hard time without flash, as Max was saying. I mean, it's just their Jinx, honestly, it was really well played. He had that pop-off fight earlier. If he was able to close out those next couple kills, you know, League is just a game of inches in a lot of team fights, and just if the fights were if that fight was like a little bit cleaner and he was able to pick up the extra couple kills, maybe he gets his 3 items earlier, maybe, you know, they can actually start snowballing, they can patiently wait without flash and like wait for his flash to come up. But Immortals just had very strong like individual champions. Yone, Gwen, these champions will like deal severe damage in team fights. They will cause a ruckus, and you know that champions like Galio, you want to keep the ball rolling. You know, every ultimate, every objective, you want to keep the ball rolling. You want to, you know, shove out your waves, do something on the side lanes, get deeper vision, make stuff happen. And eventually, Yone, Gwen, these champions got their items. They got some good angles in team fights. They punished the Jinx, no flash, and I mean, it's a wrap from there.
And we have ourselves the results coming in here for everything. As you can see, this is the end result of Group C and Group D. We have one more thing of matches for both groups to see who's going to take the second seed here. And I like how we have the Maryville here with the Taco Gaming name, but that is the Maryville logo down there in the bottom right. So it is still going to be Maryville. Over onto the other side, it is going to be Immortals taking on the side of Dare Gaming. So it's going to be a couple differences there, but from what we see on the graphic, but that is going to be the final result for us.
Yep, and that's next Monday. So we get to see who's actually going to move on from these groups. On that day, it'll be a great time to see what the other half of the playoff teams will be. Of course, we already locked in half of them today. And yeah, I mean, for Immortals, they definitely showed a very different and a much better look today. Really big congratulations to them as they get to move on forward. Going to be a tough one against Dare. These guys also have looked really fierce. So even though today was just a day full of 2-0s, I'm expecting some really close games on Monday.
Absolutely. And Osama, I gotta ask you, how are you feeling going into these matchups? I know our time is drawn to an end. How are you feeling going into next week? You saw those 2 matches that are coming up. You got any favorites that you're pulling for amongst those groups?
I'm excited for this Immortal squad. I mean, they had a really good showing. I mean, as much to say like Supernova had a good lead. Immortals, props to them for actually coming back and finding the angles to come back and win. I'm not sure. Maryville's playing next week, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to see how they're doing, how they'll go. Honestly, how long is this whole thing going for? Like, when's the finals of it all?
February 1st.
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I'm gonna keep up week to week, see how it goes. Probably just, I mean, I'm a guest for Immortals. I have to go for Immortals now, you know. So I'm gonna punch my ticket for the Immortals hype train. My boy Winston, you know, Trevor and Roy. I think they got it. We'll see how they do, and I'm excited to keep watching.
All right. And any closing notes for you, Smats, as we finish off our week of action here?
You know, it's gonna be a sad time for the amateur fans waiting all the way until Monday, but don't fret because tomorrow and the next day Academy's back on.
Woo!
It's actually starting up the season, so definitely be sure to come back to this channel and watch some Academy games. Those are gonna be really fun as well.
Exactly, just that. With that being said, thank you so much, Osama, for coming in, being a fantastic guest, and hanging out with us for these games here. But, ladies and gentlemen, you don't want to touch the browser. We are about to go over to another interview. This time we have Winston coming in here hot. So let me go ahead and flip over to there.
Your first time in KO admitted. Your first time again.
And hello, Winston. How are you doing?
I'm good. Hello.
That's fantastic. How does it feel to be able to have such a clean series for yourself, man?
Feels good. I think our last series wasn't the best. I think there was a lot of good things, but also some things we needed to work on, which we were able to address this week. But yeah, I think this week we had strong game plans going into the games. I think for the second game, obviously their comp had a lot of early options, whereas ours didn't, but we were able to play sides really well later on, which I'm really proud about, especially for my young solo laners. Just their ability to listen and be able to just continue to develop really well, which is just showing. So yeah, I think it was a good series, and I'm sure you'll see more in the coming weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta touch on game 1, man. That pathing, was it personal? Because you went on a mission. You got red buff, went straight bot side, and just were ganks all around here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, based off kind of the map state in which they presented level 1, it wasn't personal per se, but based off the wards in which they showed, it was pretty predictable that they wouldn't actually have a ward covering their ball lane for that play based on where they put the wards level 1. So it made the gank pretty obvious since I was able to identify it, and making sure that I wasn't able to fall behind on Lee Sin, just ensuring that my ball lane was in a good state. So yeah, I think overall my not only did my laner set me up in really good spots in order to be able to succeed on those ganks, but as well just good game plans going into the game, which resulted in a good, really strong first game.
And you're a part of the first iteration of an IMT AOE org here. How is it been playing with? How's the team been? And how's the games been going? Have you guys been meshing well and feeling that growing happening, or?
Well, obviously in terms of kind of the roster construction, there's, although we are like a, we're under that, tier 3 within LCS org, and they're really facilitating us regarding the resources they're able to provide for us, which is a super awesome change. That I have going into this amateur split. That in terms of the individual players, there's obviously in both Shochi and Anime Girl, they're both really young rookies. It's their first, I'd say, serious split in amateur where they get the opportunity to really show out with strong pieces around them. Able to facilitate their growth as well as just make sure that they can undergo the best amount of growth in the shortest amount of time possible. So I think as long as they continue to really use their resources well, they should be able to develop into really strong players in the coming year. And also just like for those two players, I haven't played with two rookies like in general that have been like really so motivated to learn in the different aspects of the game, just both with outside resources and resources in house. So I think it's they're both really really great up and coming players, and I hope they continue success and continue that trend. And then in terms of our ball lane, I think Meech and Trevor are two players that like I've known them personally, and I think that they haven't been in situations for them to really flourish as players and as a ball lane. And going into this offseason, after I kind of knew my situation in the competitive scene and knowing that I'd re-enter amateur and want to make that final mark and see what I can do, I know that they were two players that I really wanted to play with, since I know that they both are going to be players that I'm going to be able to rely on, are both really heavily strong into the game, and they're going to put their all into it, especially with the situation they're now presented with. So I think this is a really good opportunity for not only myself but all the players as well as the staff, who are all able to grow together. And yeah, I think it's just a great team. We still have a lot to improve on, and we're not perfect yet. But yeah, by the time the end of this tournament comes, I think we'll be a really strong contender.
Oh, so the final form hasn't been hit yet, and yeah,
No.
I love every single thing that I've seen so far, especially because, like you said, IMT showing their support for you guys. It's apparent. You can go onto the Twitch chat every single time I've seen y'all play. IMT's Twitch account is actually inside of the chat, just cheering on the boys. I've been loving seeing that little bit of mitts up, seeing all that support coming your way. So that's fantastic to see. So for the fans who have been cheering on IMT AOE, what do you got to say for them to close us out? Because you guys still have one more game here for you guys to go into. Is there any thoughts that you have ahead of that?
Yeah. Well, obviously we'll do everything in our power behind the scenes in terms of our practice regimen and preparation going into the match. So, continue to support us. Cheer us on. We'll make sure we're always bringing good performances to the fans that you guys can be proud of. And yeah, there's just a lot of good upcoming stuff from players from the Great Lakes region, which we have a lot of, especially others. So I think there's a lot of talent here that can be further developed, and I'm excited to see what I can do with this roster. And yeah, just have another great split.
We'll have to see, man. Sky seems like it's the limit for y'all. Thank you so much, Winston, for coming in for the interview. With that being said, that is it here for us over here on the Unified for the Proving Ground circuit. Like my analyst said, Smats, make sure you tune in. We got Academy action coming at you for the rest of the week over here, so make sure you tune in tomorrow. And also, if you're looking for the Unified Proving Ground circuit, we got more action starting on Monday and Tuesday, so make sure you tune in, make sure you're followed, and make sure you're ready as the action doesn't stop. That being said, thank you all, and have yourselves a fantastic evening.